Hi guys, welcome back to another OGs guys. How you all doing? If you are new here, you are welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, God bless you. As you always come back to watch my video. My people don't be smart, you know, and I know a different listener they land from my table. And as they lose they come, that's why they carry a call here to question her with Ola. My people, for today's video, I'm going to watch her together with Ola. Alright, my people, we could go watch the video to see what really the apple for inside the video, my people.
Influential list has been released yesterday, and we have two Nigerians on that list, one of which is the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Well, maybe there's even a third Nigerian, if you like, by association.
Yeah.
And that would be Ella Nasori,
yes.
a Ghanaian, but who has done most of his work here in Nigeria. First, the Time 100, as it is done. It's published annually by the Time magazine, and the selection is done by the editors of that magazine. Sometimes also, some of their correspondents also make contributions. They've been on this since 1999, and it became popular over the years, particularly from about 2014. And the emphasis in terms of choice, it's the same emphasis that most newspapers adopt. When they do maybe Man of the Year or Person of the Year or the Issue of the Year. And the emphasis is not on popularity, it's on influence. Who is that person who has influenced, the world, the environment, either for good or ill? And that's why the criteria talks about regardless of the consequences of the actions of the persons that have been selected. And it is generally considered an honor to be on that Time 100 list. I mean, out of the huge population in the world out there, to make that list means, something. It means that that person has been able to exercise influence in a particular area. And, the categories are usually about five. People that are considered titans, people that are considered leaders, people who are, icons, or people that are role models, or, influence. But the beauty of the Time 100, in my view, is also the essays, the short essays, the profiles written on each of the individuals that have been chosen. Usually very nuanced and, very well. To say it's well written is to, understate or overstate the matter. So for this year's list, in the Time 100, as you said in the introduction, Nigeria's president-elect is, a part of the list in the leaders category, along with President Joe Biden of the United States, along with the Australian Prime Minister. And, the citation on him acknowledges the fact that to be the president-elect in a country, in the most populous country in Africa, is no mean feat. And indeed, you can't argue with that. It's certainly not a mean feat, considering how competitive this election has been. But the paper also knows that the margin was narrow. The paper acknowledged the fact that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is known as the Jagaban, the leader of warriors. And that, in fact, his campaign mantra, "It is my turn," was a reaffirmation of his, place in Nigerian politics since and before the return to democratic rule in 1999 as a major power broker. And many Nigerians will also not argue with that. He has been on the scene. He didn't just show up as a presidential candidate all of a sudden. He had been part of that process. He had been a senator of the Federal Republic. He's been a two-time governor. He's also generally known as a godfather. But the paper makes one point, namely that he comes to office, yes, with a narrow margin, in an election, Time magazine tells us, that was fraught with irregularities, that is still being challenged in court. But that the president-elect of Nigeria is strongly aware of, what he is inheriting. Basically, a divided country. Basically, a country that is fractured, a country that faces many challenges, including corruption, including, crisis within the economy. So why profiling Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? I think his profile is, in my view, even-handed. Looks at various aspects of it, both in terms of influence that he had exercised before he got to where he is now, and influence that he exercised in emerging as president-elect of the most populous country in Africa, and then in terms of the expectations of both Nigerians and also the international community. And that's why, that emphasis, on his awareness of his inheritance and the expectations, attached thereto, would seem, in my view, to be very important. But of course, in that category, you have King Charles III, whose coronation comes up on the 6th of May, and an event for which, the monarchy in the UK is preparing. And, that's a no-brainer. And then you have Salman Rushdie, the writer, who was attacked. I think he lost an eye, just for defending free speech. And you have persons like the dissident, the Chinese dissident, Li Fa. Then in other categories of icons, you have Beyoncé, you have Angela Bassett, you have Michael Jordan. That's to show the diversity. And then you have the doctor that you refer to, Dr. Ugonia. Dr. Ugonia, professor of epidemiology, who has done, great advocacy and research in looking into the manifestation of monkeypox, now known as Mpox, in terms of how this is something that the global community should focus upon. So you see the range from, leadership to creativity to politics, and then in the case of to monarchy, in the case of Dr. Ugonia, with regard to science and research. And then, of course, Ella Nasri. Ella Nasri is a Ghanaian, and I say, a third Nigerian, because she's done most of his work here in Nigeria. And one of the most influential, one of the most powerful artists to have worked, in Nigeria. In the 70s, they had the Nsukka school. The Nsukka school, Ella Nasri was part of those geniuses, who established that school. You had the Nsukka school, you had the Zaria school, you had the Yaba school. That's referring to the Yaba College of Technology, where the fine and applied arts school was very strong. And in his own case, he's known for experimentation, transforming ordinary material into, objects of vision to make statements about possibilities in terms of, artistic expression. So on the whole, I think it's remarkable, and it's good that the president-elect of Nigeria makes the list. So it's a kind of recognition that should also remind them of the heavy responsibility that has now been placed on his shoulders. Absolutely.
Congratulations to the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for making 2023 list of Time's 100 most influential personalities around the world, as Dr. Bati has highlighted, alongside a number of prominent people. But it is important to also check how or the selection process of this list is. This what could sometimes be termed as a controversial list because of the people who end up making that list. It is a list that's been recognized since the year it started in 1999, and since then a number of people have found it quite honorable to be listed. In the past, we have had Nigerians like Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, current DG of the WTO and former Minister of Finance of Nigeria, on that list. We have had celebrated also Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie on that list. We have had Dr. Obi Ezekwesili on that list. So quite a distinguished honor to be on that list. However, what distinguishes this list of influential people is that it is not an endorsement of someone who is popular or someone who has done influence or done good in that regard. We can look at, in the past, the names that have appeared on there. We have had the President of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, who has been on that list a record number of 13 times. We have had people like the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, on that list as well. So we've had controversial figures in the past who have been on that list. He wasn't listed this year, but he was listed in 2022, and he'd been on that list for a record 7 times. We've also had people like American President Donald Trump, hate him or love him. According to the Times list, he's been seen as an influential figure because they've been able to shape world events. Now, it's not a surprise, therefore, that the president-elect of the largest black nation in the world, or the biggest economy in Africa, is on that list, and that's in the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and of course the attention that the last election drew.
My people, now the video now on a new watch finish, so on a see wetin happen for inside the video. Alright, my people, I would like to end the video for you. Make una let me know what you other thing for the comment section, and if you never subscribe, make una subscribe so that una no go miss early latest just way and the upload. Bye bye till I come next time. Bye guys, see you guys for the next video. Bye guys.